everyone. I'm Ricardo Vargas, and I'm very happy to be here with the two representatives of Itera that are one of the finalists of the PMO Global Awards. So Volodymyr and Jon, thank you very much for being with us today and talking about your experience and I would say the recipe of success for you to be on such a high level now on your PMO. So first, I want to start asking you, what is the recipe of success? So what do you think are the key components of the work you were doing on your project office that you want to share with others?
May I have over?
Yeah, please.
I think one of the key success factors that we have seen since we started this was to promote really engaged people, smart people that are interested to grow themselves and their colleagues and company, and engaging smart people that really throws all their energy into this. That was the key success factor. Because people are smart, they can think, and they can also be able to, I call it, leverage on the challenges that we are supposed to deliver to customers. So putting together smart people with others, taking on the challenges from customers, and then navigating on from there, and then building the platform on how to govern deliveries. That has really made a difference.
And probably I would also like to add that since Itera is in IT business, we help our customers to create digital solutions and, really go through the way of digital transformation. We are somewhat privileged because when you are in consulting, you have to meet a lot of clients, and some of them have amazing maturity levels, and they teach us like how they work. And so we have this opportunity to keep learning as we deliver value to our customers. So I think this is very exciting, that we are not locked into our internal kitchen, so to say, but we are open and continuously learn from our very good customers.
Yeah, it's adapt. I have just one question, Jon. You said about engagement, and this is, I would say, really a magic word. But what we see sometimes is that the facts are very challenging. So Gallup last year did a research, and they came up that something like 85% of all employees are disengaged. And then I want just to hear from you. It's okay, how in practical ways you could bring this engagement, because at the same time, you want people to engage, but when you are changing and adapting all the time, there is the component of fear, psychological safety. So how you can create this environment that people really embrace and engage with you?
I think, well, Vova may also answer for this, but I do believe that by giving people continuous training and education, support and guidance, and not at least call it challenging work to keep them up to speed and to be curious, every day, what's ahead, how can I participate, how can I work in teams with other colleagues and customers and partners to grow themselves, grow their potential. I think that's the key. Make sure that we as an employer are up to speed of trading jobs, with the quality people. That's the name of the game. In fact, we are just selling jobs, interesting jobs. So if people getting interesting work, they are engaged and they thrive for more. So I think that's the key. Training people, support them, guide them, and then also make sure that they have challenging work to do. And they can explore more than just doing repetitive work. And being in this project management environment and this, I call it PM community that we are part of, it's just a great privilege because we are ahead of different opportunities to solve, different people from around the globe with different culture background, even different languages. So we learn also as people, not as IT professionals anymore, but we grow as a person. We master languages, we master to communicate like the three of us on this call from different parts of the world. It does something with you that is difficult to put words on, but as I've seen from the last 13 years in this company, I've seen a great enthusiasm to work across languages, across cultures, and across nations, with great challenging customers deliveries, and also people are very fond of their colleagues, to include them. So I think this learning from others, learning from challenges, I think that's what keeps people engaged. We do run what we call a survey on very often in this company. I think it's every bi-weekly. We call it engagement score. And we see that the PM community that we have, project management community, has one of the greatest engagement scores. Of a score 1 to 10, we are far above 8 in engagement score.
So it's 9, actually.
What was that again?
I have checked recently. It's 9.
Yeah, you see, you're up to date.
Yeah, I have just one thing you just said about this multicultural and this. I would love just to know a little bit more. Maybe Volodymyr can explain, because for people that are listening, they may feel strange to have you both here, 2 different countries, and you just said about that. So explain a little bit more about how you are structured, how how your project office is structured, and how do you combine the work that Jon does with the work that you do?
Yeah, so since Itera is actually a group of companies with headquarters in Oslo, it has been established in Oslo and now stock listed on Oslo Exchange. Like as international company, we are present in several countries. It's like Norway, Denmark, in Sweden, in Iceland, and we have delivery centers in Ukraine and Slovakia. So to embrace this like cross-country structure, we have decided that our PMO should have 2 levels. We should have corporate level, group level PMO, and Jon Erik is representing that corporate PMO because he is our sponsor, his management sponsor of PMO. And every country has local country office or business unit office, and I'm representing Ukrainian business unit. But that is kind of a privilege having these 2 levels, because we can easily reuse the same practices across all countries. And that is why we are fully aligned. And when I describe Ukraine, it is same in Norway, same in Denmark, same in Slovakia. So this is how it works. And that is why we are kind of representing 2 levels here. That's why 2 of us.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. I have another question. It's you said one point that for me is becoming very important, is about this alignment and how you can share the practice and this. And what we can see today in the project environment is that you have 2 lines of direction that are not necessarily to the same direction. There is, of course, more on the waterfall, more on the controlling scenario and this, and others on the more agile. And some of them, I would say, in an extreme version of agile. For example, recently I was reading about the Spotify engineering culture, where, pretty much people, I don't want to say this way, do whatever they want, but they have a massive freedom to decide what they want to do, which tool they want. So a group can use Kanban, another can use Lean, another can use Microsoft Excel, whatever works for them, they use. So tell me, what is your model? I would say, how do you think and manage your initiatives with such a diverse operation?
Oh, Probably I could try to answer, and that would be related to our nomination video, that since we serve a very broad range of customers with very different needs, someone wants to do idea prototyping and figure out how to approach solution. Some people want to take a legacy system and keep it for, let's say, a year until a new system will be in replacement. So obviously you need to be ready for all these demands and be ready with almost all methodologies available. Because you should not really come with your own methodology to customer who is used to some way of working. It's better to embed. And so that's why we have like 10 of the most well-known methodologies in active usage in our company. So like it's not that every one of us should know all of them and be expert, but some people are expert in 2 or 3, some other people in other methodologies 2 or 3, and so together we are ready to...
You have a collective intelligence, yeah.
Exactly, and we are ready to serve customers that would have different demands. And so, but of course, to guarantee some level of quality in each and every assignment, we have tried to put aside and aggregate meta practices that would make sense whatever you do. You should be transparent to the customer. You should be clear on what are your commitments. You should report in one way or another what is the progress, just or show it somehow. And so these meta practices we call it delivery framework. So it's kind of universal. It would fit any other methodology nicely. But we just need to ensure that when we do support or when we do some extreme agile, we guarantee some level of quality and customers would be happy in any case.
Okay.
So yeah, this is how we are built up.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And how do you work on, I would say, on teams moving from one project to another, because probably you have a team to deliver this project to this customer, and then half a year later, this team does not exist anymore. This team now it's part of another team. So how do you do that in all the countries you operate? Because then there is not only the language, but also the culture, the ways of working. So how do you manage that?
Mm-hmm. If I may, Vova?
Yeah.
I think one of the key, I would say, we call in deliverables by Itera is that we have achieved to define what we call hybrid delivery models. So all people we have on board, all developers, testers, all managed services people, they are somehow trained before they enter into projects, and they get what I call a ready state to work with people from other companies in our group. So people from Norway and people from Ukraine, people from Slovakia and Denmark, they are all onboarded into this hybrid working model. So they are used to work together. They are used to English as the master language. They are used to working with Teams as a conference platform. They're used to work in Jira or ServiceNow, service management systems, etc. And most of all, they're used to work in different, I call it, processes and methodologies chosen for their respective projects and delivery. So people are quite, I would call, customized sort of and configured to be able to rotate in and out of teams with different surroundings, different challenges, and different composition. And that's why we master it, because people are we are not underestimating or undervalue the price of differences sort of and the price of complexity of this. Rather the opposite. Somebody will say that we are crazy investing so much time in getting people to know each other, but that's crucial. If people know each other, people travel and we visit, and we have a lot of customers going to Kiev and Slovakia and Bratislava as well. Not these days, of course, but they used to very often. in order for people to get acquainted and be comfortable working together on the different, I would call it, methodology chosen for the project. So by investing a lot in people getting acquainted with each other, getting comfortable with this, then that's why we are ready, and that's why we're good at rotating people out of projects and deliverables. I think that's one of the key. So please support me, Vova, if you have any.
And no, you got it very well, described. So I would say, start of every project, we have a checklist of recommended activities, like to choose what is. And beside knowledge transfer sessions, we definitely have some get to know each other exercise. And on a regular basis, we conduct cross-cultural trainings in our company, because we want to pinpoint those small differences that sometimes look surprising to you. Like in one situation, people from two countries would respond very differently, because for someone it is usual, for some other people it's like, wow, could you really do it? So, I mean, this is also part of investment that Jon Erik mentioned. We try to take it seriously, at least.
Yeah, one thing, Jon, you said also, it's about people getting to know and create this, I would say, a collective sense of ownership of the projects and this. And what is the impact that you are facing on this model now, on this such a challenging time we are facing now? Because you cannot meet face to face with the client, you cannot meet face to face with the people in other countries, and even people in your own country. People are working from home. So how you create this? Because one thing that for me it's super critical is that the technology allowed people to communicate, to talk, to see each other. But it's different, right? It's different, it's different. Another day, someone invited me to have a coffee together. You take your coffee, but it's different, right? It's not the same as going to the cafeteria and staying together. So how you are managing to do that? Because this is one of the critical pillars of your success. So what has been your strategy recently on that?
Well, then the COVID hit us really hard, the 12th of March. I'm very fortunate. We were very fortunate to have an IT infrastructure with all the system and tools in place, of course, for all the 560 employees. And people were very, very, I would call it mature in working remotely. So we have had people of 280 people from Ukraine and Slovakia working remotely with their customers and people in Norway and Denmark for, now 12 years. So it works perfectly well. People are really good at it. But when I saw a workshop on service design for a complete new product for a customer, making that remote with stand-ups, also with sprints, once a day, then that impressed me. I have never seen anything like it. When people were standing in rooms discussing over whiteboards and everything, and also digital whiteboards, I was impressed. That just took it to a complete new level of creativity, and I would call it more. The capability to not be limited by this COVID-19. So nothing can stop this workforce, and nothing can stop our customers to continue to drive business, even though we had some, I call it, hiccup and bumpers in the road. So we are very fortunate with a very mature organization, very mature customers. And people are, I would call it, they are really, really great when people are giving a chance. They agree on the working platform, and it seems to work great. But then again, we should be humble. People are sitting at home with kids running around their legs, screaming for whatever attention. And so we also introduced what we call a COVID-19, I would call it easiness, sort of. So we put ease on people's, not some hard constraints on working hours. So we told everybody, please only report what you do and deliver as best as you can do. And please inform your colleagues and your management if you're not able to keep up. That's completely acceptable. So we gave people the freedom to choose even more I would call it the hours a day of working. So people can attend to their kids because the schools were closed, kindergarten were closed. So this kind of configuration also, I wouldn't call personal life, but at least we gave people a chance to be, I would call it adults with kids, because many are. And also we see that many people do not have these facilities at home with home office opportunities, like when you are grown up, sort of, with, with all the kids and everything. So we see that people are sitting in smaller apartments in their sofa working, for 17 hours a day and night. That is not sustainable. So we have also selected people can have transported desk and chairs to their homes to have a fully set up. And we also now recently, the last few months, we have also permitted people to work in the office in small, I would call it, groups of people, in order to limit the kind of infection capabilities. So we have done a lot of things when it comes to, I would call it, facilitating to keep up speed. But then again, people have been very, very creative and also very inclusive since they are so used to working on these digital platforms and working remotely for the last 12 years in Ukraine and Slovakia, and also Norway, of course. So I think we were surprised of the capability. So I think business has been as usual. We have performing really well. So I'm putting a question mark on the office setup. Do we really need it, and for what purpose?
Yeah. You already got my next question, because this is the way you said it. How do you see the work inside Itera regarding offices, working from home? Will people continue working from home even in a post-COVID environment? Will be a hybrid model? What is in your thoughts now?
Let's keep it to my thoughts. These are not facts.
No, please. Yeah.
So this is my prediction, sort of very personal. So we just discussed it on the call earlier today when it comes to the office extension in Slovakia. We see that people they need to socialize. We are social, we are social sapiens, sort of. We need to speak with people. We need to not touch people. We need to be in the same room to see the body language when we talk to each other, and we need to be surrounded by colleagues physically. So, and I don't think and home office can replace offices at all. I think we can see a hybrid model. I think we will leave it up to some kind of structure where we will have setups in the office now and then in a call it a planned manner. And then release this kind of structure for people and small teams to decide themselves. However, we need to keep distances in the office because of this 1 meter and 2 meters and everything, as long as this disease goes on. But everything that we have facilitated for, so we even made a digital application for ourselves, how to book seats in the office, and that really cool application. So people are now booking, and they can see who else is in the office, and they'll sign in. And this application we will now take to the market, because we see a lot of our customers, they need the same application in order to have a governance around this presence in the office. So I think hybrid model to come. I think if we will have the home office as a permanent sort of residence for work, we need to set it up much more permanently, like with laws and engagement contracts and everything, because we are taking on a responsibility for what I call health, environment, and security within homes of people. So when an employee forces people to work at home, then we are in a gray zone. So we should be humble about that, because the law enforce quite strict instructions on what you have liability for as an employer. So you cannot just only move the office to the home space of people. Then you have to not only compensate, but you have to in fact follow up that guidelines are followed, and people have a proper working environment at home. So for now, it's a bit, I call it a gray zone. We are trying to figure out what to do. But it's obviously, we have, this COVID has put on, what I call it, an opportunity for people to configure their own sort of commute to office and homes. And it's really interesting to see how we all did that. But I do hope we will get a more permanent office, I will call it, presence going forward, because I miss it myself.
That's Absolutely perfect. I also see this hybrid model. You know, people work maybe 2 days at home, maybe 3 days in the office, but I don't see anymore an office like we had in the past. You know, that this is your desk and you have this desk for 10 years. You know, we maybe co-work, you sit here, tomorrow you are there, you know, because instead of having an office for 800 people, probably companies will have an office for 200 people, and the 800 will share this 200. You need to meet someone, you need to get together, you put your weekly meeting, and but at the same time, I'm very fortunate because I have a nice office here, because I worked remotely for a long time, so I didn't have this impact. But I know that many people are not just the kids in the leg. They don't have a chair. They don't have a chair, I would say a proper chair to work 6, 7, 8 hours. They don't have. So if you don't provide, then people will get hurt. And also there is another component that I would love to hear from you too. It's about security, you know, IT security, because, you know, some projects, probably for some of your clients, they contain very sensitive information, business information in this. So when you have them in the office, things are a little bit easier for you to control. But if people are everywhere, who can guarantee that nobody's taking a photo of the screen, you know, or doing something? So how do you manage that? How do you manage? Is this a concern for you?
Oh, definitely. This is what I just said about health, environment, and security. We take this very seriously, and we have made, I would call it, some kind of intermediate or just-in-time agreements with customers that this home office is okay for now. But we have introduced security measures in our IT solutions, and we also need to trust people. So you cannot go without trust at all, even, you know, it's inviting, of course. And if you have a breach, there will be some kind of consequences. But it's all about trust. I can never tell if you, Ricardo, you know, made a photo of this screen and published it. I will probably see it sometime that you published it without my consent, you know, sort of. But then again, so trust is I would call it most important here. And then we have, of course, IT solutions to protect our PCs and the traffic and everything. And usually we work in our customers' domains when it comes to setup. So we have multi-factor authentication, we have VPNs, we have all those in place. But it all ends up in trust. So that's the final word of it. But I'd like to add something that was really an amazing fact when we entered May, June. Many of our developers, coders, they have feedback to us in this engagement survey we do, that they feel much more productive being at home. And that's interesting. So they're much more, and that's, you can probably confirm, Vova, but we have teams and with individuals and collectively saying that they're so productive staying at home. No noise from colleagues in the office. They don't need to rush to meeting rooms, you know, and everything is booked, everything. So that's really interesting. How did that happen? When they're sitting in the sofa and coding these thousands of lines, you know, service as a code, whatever. So I'm really impressed by that. I didn't see that come. And we also have very, very low sick leave in this period. People are not sick. That's just amazing. So there are two findings from this period. People are more, I would call it, more productive. At least some claim so. We have less sick leave. And fortunately enough, we had almost none COVID-19 infections and diseases in our company of 560. So that's the best result ever, and most important to us. So Vova, please, I think you want to say something about this.
I can confirm just your words, and as we speak with project managers, like almost everyone admits, they are spending just more time now. Instead of commuting, they would rather spend time, you know, having extra communication with people to stay in sync, to maintain this shared context and shared understanding that it appears organically when you are physically in the same room. But when you are disconnected and sitting at homes, you need to put explicit efforts, like to talk to each other, to connect, to exchange thoughts. There will be no cooler conversations or coffee machine conversations. You need to create them. And so, yeah, now we see that most of the managers needed to increase efforts in this regard, to have a bit more communication attempts with the team.
Yeah. Another point, you were very fortunate of working with technology in a moment that technology was, I would say, the best solution now. So your teams were already, I would say, used to conference calls, used to collaboration tools and this. But what would be your advice for those who are here, watching this, that are not so fortunate? They work in different environments, in different, let's suppose, a retail organization or a large supermarket chain or a construction company. So what would be your advice to them? Because the nature of your work is in the computer and the interaction between the coders, and this is your business. But what would be your suggestion, for example, for a factory and this, where people cannot just go home, go home, because if you go home means you shut down your factory or your supermarket or your store. So what would be your advice, I would say, for these organizations?
You wanna go for this, Vova?
I could start and you could complement me, because I think giving advice around this topic is our main business, because our business is to help our customers transform into more digital enterprises and take existing technological advances and use them to really reduce manual work, reduce physical presence, and instead give people more creative aspect to their everyday jobs. So instead of physically observing some equipment, people could really define how monitoring solution should look like and what warnings they should receive and when. So for example, instead of staying 8 hours a day near the machine, they would be visiting when there is something, some warning or alarm and so on. So there is no universal recipe, but in every industry, we are kind of observed a lot of smaller innovations. How you could make a small step, another small step, another small step to make a more digital presence, to be more working in cognitive and creative tasks rather than physical and manual. It's not immediate. It will take many years for some heavy asset industries, like maybe even decade. But it is ongoing already, and COVID only forced this process. Jon Erik, would you like to add?
Well, I'm just seeing one great example that we're working on for the time being, in fact, the last 1.5 years, about predictive maintenance, sort of, for large industrial plants, oil and gas rigs, etc., with all these, I would call the Internet of Things components. So like Vova says, accelerating that kind of work is really, really important, because crises like this with probably different impact will hit us again. But then again, being full digitalized as a business and as a human is not possible. So I think it's important to, in every industry, there are, I would call it a different equation of digitalizing and human perspective, that you have to find this kind of, I call it balance between them. And this is our work. So we work as consultants as well, what to digitalize, what to keep, and how could they coexist in order for both of these components to, I would call it, to enforce each other. to be one big sort of component that is really strong, that can also, I would call it, leverage on this crisis as we have now. So you can take advantage of being far ahead in your industry because you have configured your equation in the right sort of manner. So I think even if you are retail, or if you are lawyer practice, or you're oil and gas or manufacturer, or making chocolates, whatever, it's all about finding this kind of balance. Where can you speed up? We call it service design for digitalization of processes, and where do you need human interfaces, and how can you have that component and that kind of equation fit best for your industry?
I have a quite good experience in transformation and delivering projects. And one of the key things I see today, and we can see this clearly with COVID, is that people are scared. First, people are very scared with the virus. But second, they are very scared about what will happen next, I would say, in terms of business. Because, for example, you said digitalization is something great for you, for your business and this. But for example, and I know, I would say the welfare state and Scandinavian society, because I lived in Denmark for 5 years. So, and I know, and this is absolutely one of the most incredible things I have seen in my life. But if you take countries like America's country and my country, Brazil, and this, a lot of people are extremely afraid, and most of the non-qualified personnel, because for them means if you close the store, that's it for them. Means and what happened is that when people feel this fear, we did a research last year talking about that one of the worst enemies of transformation is fear. Human fear, because what people say, okay, I will do whatever I can for this system not to work, right? I'm saying in terms of your customer, because I don't know if I will be competent on that environment. And you said, Volodymyr, about you partnering with your clients. So how do you help your client, I would say, to overcome these challenges? I would say you need to, because people are resistant. You know, people love, I love to say that people love to talk about change, but people don't like change very much, because well, we need to change everything. And then someone comes and say, let's start in your area. Say, why my area? No, you need to change everything, but here is good. So how do you manage this? You know, because the recipe of success is not just delivering on time, on budget. You know, this is old. A valuable PMO would deliver this, I would say, this benefit for the client in terms of adopting, moving, making people more on board. So how do you do that with your clients?
So I would say that in our company and in our mindset, we have started to differentiate customer satisfaction, like what makes people just happy, and customer success, when they really progress and get achievements on the next level. And so, like, as being professional partner, we try also to pinpoint, like, yes, we can do a pet project for you that will somewhat relieve your pain, but that is not taking you to the next level. Instead, let's see, like, maybe we can make a more radical change, but that will really put you in a much better position in a year or 2 years. Would give you kind of strategic advantage, so to say. So by simply clearly differentiating these two elements, like satisfaction and success, we are already making a first step, because that is our investment. We not only try to please people, but we try to put them, you know, next step. And then, of course, it takes a lot of explanation why exactly we have this opinion, why it is taking them. And so collecting many evidence and examples is a good tool, because, you know, it's easiest to relate to some successful examples, and of course being attentive to circumstances and environment that customer has. External, internal, what a real capability. Like if people are not trained in project management or not well trained in IT solutions, it is useless to aim too high. So we do it step by step. And like, I think these are like two elements that we use on day-to-day basis. But maybe Jon Erik, you have something to add.
I think you said something about people in stores, Ricardo, having
Yes.
no work to go to.
Yeah, I'm just saying, people with qualification, yeah.
Yeah, and people get afraid when the future is unsecure, sort of. Everything is like blurry. I think even if you speak up, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's about education, school, get people to be educated, and be, as I very often use the term, be the best version of themselves, to grow their potential. Even if you are a kid of 10 years or you are an adult of 35, you have to be relevant for your times. So what we have done in our PMO and Itera delivery office, we have focused competence building. So all our PMs, they go through training programs and certification programs. Some might not see this relevant as of today, but we say, but think 6 to 12 months ahead. Being a master in Kanban or Scrum or Agile coaching, it's not exactly the same as a PMI certification, but it will just complement that. And so you can be even more valuable, and you will learn new things. And we see that project management role will evolve over time to be more like a coaching role, maybe. It just all depends on the program size or whatever. So this is just an example of how really important education is. And that leads me to this store when people, it's closed, people get fired or they get, leave of absence for months, whatever. Nobody to pick up the bills at home. No wonder they are resistant to change. No wonder they're fair. So we in Itera, we also had this option because we didn't know when we were on the 15th to 20th of March. Everything was like, geez, what happened? But we stayed very in close proximity with our customers. We did a lot of helping out, a very transparent discussion with them. What are they seeing? What are they fearing? Can we collaborate to get through this crisis together? So by reaching out, I used to call, if you open your hands, you get more into your hands than if you have a closed hand. So by reaching out, seeking help, seeking advice, collaborating across whatever industry, whatever company, whatever, just be collaborative. It all helps. And do share your concerns. Do share that you are afraid. Do share that you are insecure. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, but once you've done it, at least I call it on a company level like I did, and we did, it feels good. There are always somebody that has it a worse day than yourself. There are some people that really are in need of your advice or your concerns or I would call it even presence. So be there for others. You will see that others will be there for you, and together we will get through this kind of crisis. But proximity to your stakeholders, like customers in this and employees, it's probably the most paramount, I would say, to a business like Itera.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I have one last question. That is, it was not created by myself, but in the app, Volo, there was a question about the role of humor in success. So, and this is quite interesting because with all the challenges, people are becoming much more on the negative side about everything. Okay, not only business but the society in general. If you go to today, the New York Times was talking about, I think Google said that the top trend in about mental health, about mental health, about the depression and this. So what in you, because it's obvious when I see you both that you love what you do, that you are really enjoying, I would say, despite of all the challenges, and trying to create a positive environment. So what is this whole of keeping this humor on your success?
Please, Vola.
So I maybe like try to explain it in a way, humor is part of culture that we try to establish in our company. And I think we have quite some success on it. Because, you cannot run company only by detailed procedures and micromanagement, specifying every steps, especially in creative industry where people need to innovate and decide. And that's why corporate culture that makes people accessible to each other, transparent, being open to share, that is really important. And I'm super happy that it is available in Itera, because our founder, Arnim Yos, he's very open and he's very cheerful, would come to company day dressed as rock star in costume. And, and when you have such example from a top, then people start to be more open and start to share. And so humor comes naturally and helps basically to overcome some challenges. What do you think, Jon Erik?
I think it's valid to say that in our company we can laugh with each other, not of each other. So we can have a good laugh, trying out things. We do mistakes, and it's not that serious, in fact. So we go on, we move, we test, and we have a good laugh at things. So we have a lot of social happenings in the company, even though it is COVID-19. We do have social happenings, like the company day we had in Ukraine some weeks ago. That was completely digitalized, with people sharing, I would call it private stories, just to accelerate on this. I call it this kind of platform, on this humor. So people had the jokes, they had to tell about stories at work, whatever, just to share. I would call it private issues. That is good to share, gives a good laugh, and it helps because it takes down the barriers. All this kind of, I would call it, when people feel not insecure, but if people feel if they belong, it's easier to share. So I think, yes, like what was said, when our CEO, Arnim Yos, comes like a rock star to parties, he has great fun, and he's probably the worst dressed among everybody, and he can laugh by himself, and we will laugh with him. So I think humor is really important, and keep a smile, it helps. It's better to be positive, wake up in the morning and say, what can I do for others, than trying to stick by yourself and say, I will wake up the day after tomorrow instead. It's all about having a good spirit. It's difficult at times. We should not go around being, I'll call it, completely crazy guys, but it's good to have a smile.
That's fantastic. So look, Jon and Volodymyr, thank you very much for your time. We don't know the results yet. We'll know soon, but I wish you all the best, okay? And the examples you said at the end, this is something that is keeping in my mind. It's all about people. It's all about people, and probably I would say 70% of what we were talking here about the success is you put the right environment for people to grow and to flourish. And this is the recipe that people need to keep in mind. It's far more than money, than process. It's a place that people want to be in, that people want to do things, that people want to learn and move. So I wish you great success, okay? And I'll be watching the announcement, okay? Thank you, Jon. Thank you, Volodymyr. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Bye for now.
Yeah.